Hello Tubesters, it's Gav. Welcome to another one of my videos. Today we are taking a look at these Historex 54mm horses. The basic, well, I think they're mainly used for Napoleonics, but I do believe they may even do a small Western selection. I shall take these out of the box and I'll explain as I go. You get five, before I open the box, you get 5 horse poses in the box. I was looking on my go-to company that I buy stuff from, which is El Greco here in the UK, and they sell single horses. You can get a couple of makes for about 18 quid, and the rest were coming in at about £28, different makes. And I thought, well, if I've got to go with that, I've got 2 Airfix 54mm Curatio French, and I've got another Historex horse. It's a stock. It's like standing just still, upright, whatever you want to call it. And it's not what I'm after. And I'll go into that once. I'm just going to open the box now. But I just thought for £19 plus the postage, which brought it to about £23, I got 5 horses, and that was a no-brainer for me. So if you're thinking, like myself, of doing a bit of sculpting, converting, all that type of stuff, you might want to look at Historex. I got mine from Historex agents down in that's what they're called, down in Dover here in the UK, and I ordered it yesterday, and it turned up this morning. Funny enough, how the Royal Mail can do a parcel like that, but it's taken them 3 weeks again to deliver post that's had test results in and this, that, and the other. Well, let's not go down that road. but yeah, well done, Historex. Obviously, I ordered it in time, and it was straight out. Right, I'm not going to. I'm not going to get them out of the box, just so you can get an idea. Now, these were originally done, I think, either late 60s or early 70s. So you've got the bridle, which I didn't realise on already, or the halter, is it? And as I say, they're basically done for Napoleonics. You get a full neck, and then you add your ears on. And I've never been overly impressed. I did one before. I've never been overly impressed with the mane or the tail particularly. So I'll probably be doing those out of putty. These are really just bases to work from. Now, I've said it before. Put a light on here now. I don't think it'll make much difference. I've said it before. I'm a huge fan. Well, I enjoy. I'm sorry if you can hear the council lawn mowing. I'm surprised it's just dust. It's about 34 centigrade up in this room at the moment that I paint in. It's not the most conducive for painting or modelling. But I like mounted figures. I've been showing these guys off. These are ones I've painted here. These are obviously 28mm wargaming figures. Not so much. I mean, you do display them as well, mainly as units rather than single poses. But might have to darken these down. I think I went a bit too heavy on the highlights on that one. So I can't believe they're doing that mowing outside now. I'm doing a video. I will try and shout above it because I don't know how long it's going to take them to finish what they're doing. See bits of mould lines, bits of. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a mould line, or I think it's supposed to be a mould line rather than the horse. Then it does go around there, doesn't it? Well, it's some veinage on the horse. I don't know if that's the actual word. But yeah, a bit of clean up. There's a slight bit of texturing on the horse. That's always nice. So yeah, by the look of it, all of them, yeah, I'm looking on the thing here, they've all got the halters on. So it depends on what I'm doing if they're going to be the right one. They've actually got different types of halters on as well, so I'll have to do my research. So the idea was originally, when you get this, give you a very basic type of colour call out, I suppose you call it. as I say, these were done yonks and yonks ago. There's no actual. Sometimes I'll have a date on them, but I don't believe so. So I still think for what I want to do, which is first of all, I should go into it in more detail. Obviously 5 horses here. I can do what I like with them. What I'm trying to do is sculpt. I'd like to sculpt my own. Right, let's go into. If I was doing Napoleonics, and some of these horses may well turn up in a Napoleonic video, I want to sculpt my own figures, and I want to sculpt my own horses. That's a big ask. I've wanted to do it for years and years, and I have little half-hearted attempts. And I thought to myself, you see, I'm a real big fan of American Western culture, if that makes sense. So, American Western history, the fur trade, trappers, mountain men, all really roughly the same type of thing there. Cowboys, First Nation, American Indians. It depends what. I don't want to cause offence there. It depends what people would identify themselves as. God, that isn't a modern word, in it. Identify themselves as. You shouldn't have to be scared to say you're just trying to make an honest grasp at something. Anyway, but yeah, all that type of thing. But I also like modern West, so modern cattle ranching. I'm always looking at cattle ranching videos. I've always got rodeos on, PBR, which is professional bull riding. And now he's coming to our cul-de-sac. I'm going to kill this guy doing this. No, I shouldn't say that, should I? You can't say that because that's a death threat. I don't know, I'm going to shout into a paper bag really loudly. Yeah, modern living. But yeah, I like all that type of stuff. I've always got Radio Houston on, and just different other channels, a cowboy channel. And it's usually not not every day, not every second of the day, but it's often on during the week. And I'd like to do some Western poses particularly, but I particularly like doing mounted poses. I always have done. If you buy a 54mm figure, you could be looking at a mounted figure. You're looking at 60, 70 quid sometimes, and the same for a 75mm figure, which can touch £100. Well, for somebody in my circumstances, that's a no-goer. Also, it's getting the pose that you want, the sculpt that you want. So I'm going to have a go at doing things myself. With these, once they're built up, I can, and even a couple of Airfix ones and my other Historex one, which is, I say, it's a stocks. I don't know what you call that as a pose, but it's just stood there. If that makes sense, like on parade, and I can use them to actually do my own. Obviously, sculpt the riders, but keep the horses bought, but make a few conversions. Obviously, I'm going to be making my own saddlery. Obviously, all the tack, so that all the different strapping and everything. Probably, I'm not a big fan, as I say, the to some of these mains and stuff. So yeah, I'm going to do all that myself. Now, as for the sculpting of the riders, let's just take one of these Perrys again. They're just easy to handle, and I've got them on the desk. I think for a start, I am going to try and do my own faces. Now that, as we know, that's going to be a car crash, isn't it? But I am going to do that. But what I'm also going to do, so El Greco, they might have lost money on me not buying their horse, because I'm going to buy 5 horses for 19 quid. All right, I keep telling me it's 23 quid, but 19 quid. But I will be buying, there's, I don't know if they're called Figure Italy. They're an Italian company, obviously. And they do loads of Napoleonics. They do some lovely mounted figures. They do some lovely just foot figures. And the foot figures are a reason. The mounted figures. I suppose they just go on how much resin they put in, how much, all that. But it's just for someone like me, the mounted figures are out of my price range. and I do like doing the display figures. So as I say, it's a case of doing some conversions on these. The rider itself, let's get back to that, Gav. Yeah. So I'll be buying some. You can get, like 1 in 35 scale Hornet heads for the modelers out there that do armor modeling and stuff. Well, you can get them obviously in 1 in 54 scale. No, you can't. You can get them in 54mm scale as heads, and they do a set of heads that have already got the hair on and the big lamb chop sideburns that they're quite popular in the latter part of the Napoleonic Wars. But they do a lot of bold heads as well, and they do a lot of hand poses, just hands. So I'm going to get some hands, going to get some heads, and they will be my default position because I really don't think I'm going to be good enough to. I think I can craft a body, a torso, legs, uniform, or civilian dress if it's a cowpoke. But I think I'm going to fall down with hands and faces. But that doesn't. But you unless you have a go and keep going, having a go, you're not going to be able to do it, are you? So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. It's I'd like to do some Western poses, and with the horses, I'm eventually going to make some armatures. Once I've done a couple of these as is, I will be making armatures on the side. Armature is the wire that you put in to build your putty around. Block them out with some silver foil, probably tin foil inside, so we don't waste too much putty. Probably epoxy putty. From what I was reading, I've got AK's sculpting book, and they said you should have a dedicated oven with a dedicated, like timer in it, not timer, temperature gauge. Well, I ain't going to do all that. So I'll probably just stick with epoxy. I just thought you could stick the polymer clay in an oven and but according to them, it's better to have a thermostat and all the rest of it. Anyway, the reason these are some decent enough poses for me for what I need for my basic stuff. So doing some Napoleonics. I'm not going to be doing any cuirassiers or anything. Let's make it simple, or I'll gavel go off the boil. So I haven't sure in Napoleonic wise what it's going to be yet, but it'll be a fairly campaign uniform. Let's put it that way, with no breastplates and helmets or anything. So it'll be one of the other units. But eventually, what I'd really, really like to be able to do is do some bronc poses. So like often people, you see them like in films and they're rearing up at the front end. Well, broncs tend to stick there. It's like Buckaroo, the game, you stick the bronc will stick its feet in the ground when it's not flying off the ground, and he's trying to buck. That's what they are, bucking broncos. And you often saw them when you see them in the old westerns where they're doing all this. Well, I'm not saying they don't ever do it, but most of the broncs I ever see are tending to be doing this. Yeah, they're whacking their heads back to try, because the way they see it, if they can't get the rider off that way, they'll knock him senseless with their head and get him off that way. They're not particularly fussy. But I'd like to do a couple of modern rodeo poses, at some stage. But all of these guys in here, I think, will be. Obviously I've got a lot to go on. Western poses, Napoleonic poses. I would like to do at some point over the next, if I'm spared over the next couple of years, do some Charge of the Light Brigade type stuff, or Crimean War anyway. I'd like to do some British colonial stuff as well. So yeah, I just wanted to show this. I don't know how I'm going to. Who's interested? There's a lot of people that aren't particularly interested in all my display painting when I've done the busts and that. I'm lucky if I get like about 20 likes. and about 5 comments, and that's not me fishing for them. I'm just saying it. It's not popular. I can stick a Napoleonic Perry cavalryman up, and I get a lot more views and probably 30 likes. But my display stuff, it's not people aren't particularly interested. And to be fair, I see some of the top painters in the world. I was watching Eric Swinson the other day. He's in the States. For us that enjoy our painting, he's a figure painter. Um, he's an extremely well known figure painter, and I noticed on his channel. I know he does that Twitch as well, and he puts it on YouTube. But he's got 16,000 subs, and I'm thinking this is Eric Swinson. You know what I mean? But again, figure painting, it's not big. Scale armor modeling, aircraft modeling, ship modeling isn't particularly big either. But that they'll hit the mark with people, not with me, because I've always said people tend to and this isn't me moaning, it's just the truth. People discard my channel because I'm not one or the other. I do some scale modelling, but without doing a lot of scale modelling. I paint a lot of war games figures, but I'm not wargaming now. As I said, that might change in the future. I don't know. But as I say, I do it mainly because it helps my head. I must stick these videos up. I've got severe head problems, and it just helps me get through the day or the week, whatever. So for those that will follow along, thank you very much. They'll come up and they'll be up and when I fancy doing them. I would say doing I'm really looking forward to doing like Western saddles and stuff, and doing some Napoleonic chevrokes, which is like the fancy blankets that the officers particularly had. I could do that because let's face it, I've already got sculpt, haven't I? It's just then applying potty and different materials like lead. When I get the heads in it, they do some thin lead strips, which are mainly designed for doing horse furnishings type of thing. So I'll probably get some of that as well. Price soon adds up. This isn't a cheap way. This isn't any. I will probably, if I'm moaning at buying a horse and rider for 60 quid, by the time I've finished, it'd probably be about the same amount. The difference is I've done it. I just think we can print a lot off, and I'm really not happy with a lot of the printed historical stuff, because it's printed by a load of people, but people that have, I don't know if they have any real interest in it, because there's not a lot of historical accuracy to a lot of stuff. And this isn't me having a swing at people that print off. Mamara Shamey over at the Shamey BMW channel, he prints. My life, that lad can print. He doesn't design, he just prints. But this isn't me having a swing at people doing it. I'm just saying this is something that you couldn't even. Well, yeah, if you can do a CAD drawing on ZBrush or whatever they call it and make it decent, fair enough. I can't do that, and I've got no interest in doing it. But I have got interest in scratch building. I've got things in general, and I've got an interest in sculpting, and of making something your own, even if it's a bought blank in a way of a horse, and then doing it to what you want. I mean, there's nothing on Historexes. Yes, they are a Napoleonic thing, but they do Western stuff as well. I just wasn't particularly phased at their that type of figures, or they were a bit wooden. But whereas mine will look like some Disney's forgot to draw on. But never mind. Yeah, I just think it's great to have a go yourself. So yeah, another challenge. How far we get, who knows? But I've got to that time in life now, not that far from 60. It is like the 60s coming up, like a bronc coming out of the chute at a rodeo. How long can I stay on for? The 8 seconds. Let's see. Yeah, it just it's just I've always had an interest, and I'm just thinking, the hourglass is not. I'm not suddenly getting. Obviously I've got severe clinical depression and others. Well, there's a whole list that they've given me, but yeah, I can look on. Let's put it out there. I'm suicidal enough with, with not knowing how long I'm going to be on this planet. But I say that just with it's easier to just laugh at it than not. Um, but what I mean is, before you get the shaky hands, I mean, my eyesight's already fallen off a cliff, you know. So where I can, I've chose 54mm because I can get these in 54 where I can't in 75, or bigger. But if I can teach myself to sculpt, then maybe I can go up sizes later on. Does that make sense? Anyway, this was just supposed to be showing you some horses, and just to give you, I like to give you the, if you haven't thought about it yourself, not so much thought about sculpting, but you may have thought, I'd like to do that, but I'm not paying 30 quid for a single horse, or I want 2 or 3 horses. Maybe you might have some Crow Indians riding against the Sioux, because people forget that tribes did fight tribes. It wasn't just tribes fighting Europeans, settlers, or Mexicans, or whatever. I'm trying to cover all the bases here. They fought each other for territory. So you may have, them like maybe 3 or 4 Seventh Cavalry riding down one of the bluffs, and you just think, well, that's a lot of money, and blah blah blah. Well, you've got your basic horses here. It's just up to you what you can do with them. And as I say, if you can keep pushing yourself, as I'm hoping to do with the sculpting, even if we can't, and I say we, all of us out there that want to sculpt, we can't all be Paul Hicks or Carl Reed or any other fellas out there, and fellarettes. But even if I can only get as far as doing the torsos, the legs, all the stuff that isn't the face and the hands, I'll be a happy man. So you look after yourselves. As I say, got these from Historex, 19 quid, 5 horses. That's all you get, though. The world's your oyster after that. It might be something you might want to look at, and I hope you may want to follow this, yet another another project along. I've already bought some wire for my riders, and some bits and bobs which I've already got in the. See, I've been trying to do this for years, and I get bits and bobs, put it aside, and then lose confidence, as I always do. So let's see how far Gav loses confidence this time. Look after yourselves. Longer video than I ever really intended. Go and check out the rodeos. There's some people with some real guts out there, and they nearly have them spilled all over the arena sometimes. Go and check out what it is like to ride a bull, and 8 seconds must seem like 8 hours sometimes. So hope you're going to enjoy this, and I'm really waffling now, aren't I? So look after yourselves, and we'll catch each other soon on another video.